Walla has a population of about 700 people. It's a small town, it's a very flat town in some ways, and in the last 10 years there's been a declining population. The community has suffered a number of setbacks, and what the community is trying to do at the moment is find a way of overcoming that. So they're working really hard at encouraging people to come and live here, and that's, I guess, how the Rural Transaction Centre started.
We were just so ready to do something with our town and to have a community centre.
Part of the business planning for rural transaction centres, there was a community consultation process that we had to go through, and we did that. We sent out flyers of a public meeting. We had it at the bowling club, 35 people turned up.
It came from the meetings, the couple of meetings that we had, and we asked people, what vision they saw for Walla and what they thought was important to have in Walla, like, making it a nice place to live with services and banking and childcare.
And given that we had three towns with populations ranging from about 700 to 1100 or 1200, that they sought funding under the Rural Transaction Centre program. And that process started in around about May 2000, initially with some funding to do some business plans, from which then funding flowed to establish rural transaction centres in Culcairn, Henty and Walla Walla.
The major partners that were involved with this project were the former Culcairn Shire, and it received great assistance from the Commonwealth Government through a grant.
I suppose we outlined the two projects, one that we were looking for rural transaction centre funding, and two that we were going through a strategic planning process. We outlined the proposal at the time for the Rural Transaction Centre, of which the people that were in attendance at that public meeting were quite comfortable with, and that formed the basis of our application for funding.
The people in the town were given the opportunity to listen to the proposal and to have an input by becoming a member of the Community Development Committee.
It was organised around a very diverse group of people, so that we had representatives from business, from youth and families, from older people, from rural people, and I think that's been one of the successes of the committee, that it has such broad representation, and also the fact, I think, that among the people on that committee were some quite innovative leaders who had the vision to sort of overlook the potholes and look up and see what actually could be achieved.
There hadn't been anything new happen around town. Things had stayed pretty much the same for maybe 10 or 15 years. And the fact that the RTC was a visible project, for our community it was a large project, a lot of money being spent, very visible by virtue of its location. I think that inspired people to become involved and to participate. So it was, if you like, just the tonic that people needed to re-engage as a community.
We had town walks to see where, it'd be best, to put the building and where the focal part of Walla was.
Council staff, councillors and the Community Development Committee actually went on a town walk one morning, basically from one end of the street to the other, to look at all the natural attributes of Walla Walla and to try and come up with what we thought would be the best project to, if you like, create a centre of activity in Walla Walla.
They decided to set up the Rural Transaction Centre literally in the centre of town, and that symbolised, I think, not only their need for the services that we could set up in that place, but also to put the heart back into the community.
The whole precinct is being used by everybody. It's just wonderful. We've even had a wedding here since it's all been done up, and to have inside toilets, and it's heated and there's air conditioning next door. It's just wonderful.
The facilities we provide are the Medicare Easy Claim booth. Public internet access is also available. WAW are our major client, and they also do council work when concluding negotiations with an accountancy firm. A council officer works out of this office 1 or 2 days a week. Out here we have doctors' consulting rooms over here, and it's also allowed us to bring our toilets inside. We're moving into the older part of or the original part of the hall. We've had to upgrade the kitchen area due to the increased activity. The old supper room is now used as a childcare service 1 day a week, and we're negotiating to expand that service. And the old hall proper area out here has also been renovated as well.
We were asked to raise $50,000 towards it, and people were keen to do that. And we had a really enthusiastic and group of people that were prepared to fundraise. And so we had a lot of fundraising, especially in the first year. We nearly raised half of what we had to.
The Shire's involvement in the funding was in the form of a loan, and it is the responsibility of the committee or the community to repay that loan.
It was pretty enjoyable when we were fundraising and banking money and donating that off to council. We have to raise $50,000, so far we've raised $25,000.
Community actually pledged $50,000 towards it and have raised more than half of that in an 18-month period. And I think that shows the commitment not only of the committee who's guiding this process, but of every community member in the Walla and resident in the Walla Township and the district.
The fact that the RTC is there and we're starting the street beautification at the RTC, it's certainly created interest in the town and certainly a sense of pride.
I think also sometimes it's not only the outcome that it's important, but it's how you got there. The process of getting from A to B can be just as important and just as relevant to the community as the end, as the outcome. And I think that gets overlooked a lot, and I think it's really a really important thing for people to realise, because it's in the end it's not just bricks and mortar that you're dealing with, it's people and how those people react in their community and how they feel about their things that is important.
Anything's possible, because if you had told us 10 years ago we'd be building an RTC in Walla, we just wouldn't have believed.